Hey everyone, my name is Mirai and welcome to a Zelda 2 tutorial. In this video I'm going to show how to skip what is commonly referred to as the Upstab block room that can be found in Great Palace, and what I'm going to be covering is what's playing on the screen right now. This guide is more aimed at the Zelda 2 randomizer players since they can find themselves in GP without Upstab because they chose to skip it in Darunia. This is especially true in a race setting where every second counts, and skipping it is of course always a gamble. Now, if you had Upstab, you would normally only need Jump to get through this room from this side, but to perform the skip you will also need the Fairy spell, so you need both spells as well as enough magic to cast them. As an outline, we're going to be breaking these blocks during the step numbers that are assigned to them on screen, and step 4 is where we perform the glitch to clip through the block, so no blocks are broken during that step. In addition, the block marked with an X is the only block you will never want to destroy, and if you accidentally do that, then you'll need to start over by exiting and re-entering the room, and in turn, burning through more magic. So let's break this down. Start by casting Jump and breaking the number 1 blocks, and that topmost block that looks unreachable can be hit if Link has enough speed when performing a jump attack. I'd also recommend breaking that top one before breaking the bottom number 1 block, because it becomes a lot more difficult if the bottom one isn't there to stop Link from jumping too far forward and then accidentally breaking the X block, as can be seen in the pop-up example. Moving on to the second set of blocks, we have another block that will need Link to have some speed in order to hit it, and you cannot just stand in place and perform a jump attack hoping to break it. So step back out to give yourself a bit of runway, and then time your jump onto the first block so that you keep your momentum into the jump attack, allowing Link to break that upper number 2 block. Afterward, clear out all the number 3 blocks. And now for this fourth step, we'll need to get Link to clip through the bottom left number 5 block, and we're going to break this step down into 2 parts, but this is fairly simple once you understand what you're looking for. As a side note, I'll mention that the Zelda 2 randomizer offers additional character sprites that replace the default Link sprite. While all sprites have the exact same hitbox and reach, this next step is based entirely off of visuals, and so if you use a different sprite, you'll have to figure out how all of this lines up with that particular one. So the easiest way to get Link into the starting position is by just jumping in this area and pushing him forward into the X block so that his shield is flush up against it. When you jump in place, you can see that Link's shield is just barely cutting into the left edge of the block itself. This is normal, and this is our starting point. From here, continue to jump in place with a constant rhythm, and when Link is below the X block, either when he's landing or beginning his jump, ever so slightly tap the D-pad in the direction of the X block. If you do this correctly, you'll notice that Link's shield begins to clip further into the X block, and you're looking to push about 2 pixels in. This is an approximate measurement, but you can see what it looks like on screen. If you try to push further, Link will bang his head up against the block to let you know that you've gone too far, and you'll just need to back up a scotch. Now once Link is in this position, you're now on part 2 of this step. Rather than trying to move Link forward underneath the X block, we're not trying to move him forward onto the top of it. So our forward press needs to take place after his shield has already begun to partially clip through the X block. We have a somewhat limited window to try to make this happen, and I use a simple jump tap rhythm during this time. But there's nothing more to it other than repeatedly tapping forward into the block after Link's shield has already begun to clip through it. And after a short period of time, you should find that Link just pops into the block above. From here, clear out the number 5 blocks, and then prepare for frustration because breaking this number 6 block can be quite tricky. So once again, Link is going to need a bit of speed to be able to reach the number 6 block in order to break it, but we don't have a lot of runway to work with. On top of that, we can only attack the block from the outside angle, so you always risk falling down and at times accidentally breaking the X block that you need to stand on. All of this is what makes this step difficult, but there are 2 slightly different methods to get this done. Now there's actually enough area on the block that Link is standing on to allow him to reach the speed required, but you will need to take him to the very edge of it before performing the jump spin attack to break the block above. And here's an example of this. The other way to approach this is to push off of the wall by attacking it to gain speed quicker than just starting from a standstill position. This method requires more controller input to pull off successfully, but you may find it to be slightly less susceptible to falling off the X block because you can jump off of it before reaching the very edge of it. And here's an example of this. However, with this second method, I've also found that you may want to consider the height at which you attack the wall. To put this into perspective, here are 2 side-by-side comparisons performing the wall attack with no additional input from the directional pad. On the left, the wall attack gives Link enough momentum to be pushed back onto the floor, whereas on the right, he's still on the block. In the left example, I attack the wall at the very top of Link's jump, and on the right, I attack just a brief moment later. The timing is difficult to explain because it's something you'll simply need to feel out based on your input device and your hardware or emulator. But in my experience, performing the wall attack at the very peak of Link's jump gives him too much momentum backwards, and that results in him having less pixels available to jump again before you find that he's fallen off of the block. I'm not saying that it's impossible to perform the jump spin attack necessary to break the number 6 block if he has all of that momentum, it's just that he has less space to do it. So that's it for the tutorial, but let's quickly walk through this one last time. Start off by casting jump and breaking the number 1 blocks. Then clear the number 2 blocks. With some speed, you can get them both. Next, we remove the number 3 blocks. Then we align ourselves with the X block and begin the clipping process by trying to push into the block after Link's shield is visually cutting through it. And again, once you're familiar with the timing required, it doesn't take long to get Link to clip into the block above. Once we're up there, we can clear out the number 5 blocks. For the final number 6 block, it's up to you on which method you'd like to choose, but I tend to lean towards using the wall attack to gain momentum, and after a few tries, we're through and we can fairy out. Now, if you want to see me show this off in real time in an unedited video while I ramble on about some other things related to this skip, then check out either the video description or the top pinned comment for an additional video that may help shed some light on something you're having trouble with. No promises on that though. With that said, thank you for watching. Again, my name is Mirai, and I will see you in the next video.